Hey everyone, Chris, Kentucky Woodsman. I was tagged yesterday by John from the In the Woods with Bigfoot channel, and there's a tag video going around wanting to know your go-to knife that you use the most when you're out in the woods. Now, like most everyone, I have way more knives than I'll ever be able to use. As you can see, I've got plenty of knives. That was knives that I've used over the years. They're in my collection. I've collected knives since I was a kid. So I've got a few knives. See here are knives that are very special to me. They hold a lot of value to me because of maybe where I got them from, or maybe they've just become a knife that I use pretty often, or maybe it's just the fact that these are some of the better knives that I have in my collection. But there's different reasons for different knives. Now, the first knife I will show you, by no means is this an expensive knife, by no means is what I call this a good knife, but this one holds a lot of value to me because it's the first knife that I ever made. Now, why on earth I made it so big, who knows? But that's the first knife I ever made, and I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into that. It is very sharp, more of a traditional Bowie type knife. So yeah, one that I made. Like I said, it holds some value to me. I'll never get rid of this one because it was my first knife. Alright, this is my D.H. Russ from a Canadian company. Some of you may have one of these knives. It's a very nice knife. It was given to me by my sister and brother-in-law several years ago, and to be honest with you, I've never used it. I've kept it and don't have any intentions on getting rid of it, but I've never used it. But it is a very nice knife, and there's no reason why I shouldn't use it. I mean, my sister and brother-in-law, I'm sure, would want me to use it, but I just haven't. Alright, this is my SE Model 4. I use this pretty often. Matter of fact, this is the knife I keep in my vehicle all the time. So, I always have a knife with me that I can use in case of a situation where I need to cut something really bad, or just may need it. It's my SE4. This knife right here was given to me by Coyote 238. I'm sure if you've been on YouTube any length of time at all, you'd recognize the name Coyote 238. And I've actually used this past season to skin quite a few rabbits. So I've actually used that. He called that a disciple's knife, and like I said, this one holds a lot of value to me just because a friend gave it to me. This is my Tops Tybo, however you want to say it. That's designed by Brian Griffin. A lot of you know Brian Griffin. I actually was acquainted with Brian Griffin several years ago through a forum, a survival forum, pardon me, and I got to know Brian, and that was before he was actually designing knives for like Tops or Charade or any of them. So I ended up with that through a trade. Now, I'm not 100% sure the story behind this, but the word that I had was this was one of the prototype knives that Tops made and sent to him for his approval on. So that's my Tops Tybo. Here's another very special knife to me. This one was made, however you want to put it, by Dave Mize with Mize Custom Works. He actually built this one custom for me, and it's actually called the Kentucky Woodsman. He didn't name the knife after my channel, but it had the Kentucky Woodsman name, and whenever I saw it, I was like, I gotta have one of them. So he asked me what I wanted, and I told him, and he built the knife to my specs. This knife right here is a great camp knife. It does an extremely good job. You're talking about one, look how thick that blade is. You're talking about one that you can baton with. You're talking about one that you can really do some work with. This is a worker right here. And I use it a lot around camp. And it's probably my second most used knife next to my go-to knife. I use it a lot. I carry it with me in my truck all the time. If I'm camping, it's on my side. Just a very good knife. Dave did some excellent leather work on the sheath. It's got a dangler. I'm very pleased with this knife. Alright, here's another knife from Dave Mize. I have never showed this on YouTube. Dave and I are friends, and he had this knife for sale a couple of years ago, and I really wanted this knife. He showed it to me, and the Cumberland, I think it's Cumberland Plateau Bushcraft knife, I believe what they called it. Adam over at Coyote 238 actually has that one, but he showed us that one, and he showed us this particular knife right here. This was the last two knives that Dave made, to the best of my knowledge, before he shut his knife shop down. And I really fell in love with this knife, and I wanted it, but I just couldn't afford it at the time. I talked to Dave about a year and a half ago and asked him if by chance he still had it, and he did. And he and I worked out a deal. Now, I built him a knife, and we traded. I traded a knife and an axe that I had for this knife right here. And I'll show you this knife. This is a ladder. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's a ladder Damascus. It's a very nice knife, and this is one that I will probably never ever use. It's just too nice to use. But that was one of Dave Mize's last knives he built before he shut his shop down. Now hopefully at some point in time Dave will open his shop back up and be making knives again, but that's not the case right now. So like I said, that's a very nice knife. I will probably never actually use that. That is just one for my collection that I will cherish and take care of from now on. Alright. I've showed you my knives that I've made. I've showed you my knives that I was gifted. I have showed you my knives that I have purchased and am very pleased with and use. But now I'm going to show you my most used go-to knife. The knife I'm getting ready to show you is in this sheath right here. And you say, why is this your most used knife? Well, long before I had any of these knives, I had this knife. This particular knife has skinned more deer and field dressed more deer than I can even count over the years. It is a very good knife for field dressing and skinning, and just general game work, anything you would do to take care of your game, process your game out in the field. Also, it makes a very good camp knife, so therefore whenever I would take it hunting with me, I used it around camp. You used it for everything. You could use it to cook with, you could use it to just general chores with, use it to for anything. But the one thing I will say is you can't baton with it. But here it is. It is a cold steel roach belly. Now, it is not a carbon steel blade. It is a stainless steel blade, but it will take an edge very easily, and it does hold an edge for a very long time. It is not full tang. I'm not sure exactly where the tang ends on this, but it is not full tang. So I would not want to abuse it heavily. I would not want to baton with it. I would not want to do much chopping with it or anything like that. But as far as a good general camp knife, inexpensive camp knife that does an outstanding job and does it all very good. I use this. I take this fishing with me. Like I said, I take it hunting with me. I don't use it so much around camp now that I have the Kentucky Woodsman. If I'm just camping out, like I said, I don't use it as much. But it still goes out in the hunting field with me. It still goes fishing with me. It's just a very handy design for that type of work. The blade makes it an excellent skinning knife, and like I said, for the money, it's hard to beat. It's the stainless steel blade. I don't have to worry about it. The cleanup on it, it cleans up very easily. It's just an excellent knife for very little money. As I said in the beginning of the video, this knife will run you about $14, $15. I've seen them on eBay all day for that. I don't know what you would pay for it at other places like Knife Works or anywhere like that. But like I said, on eBay you can find this for about $14 to $15. I actually even saw some, I think, around $12.99. It is a, this type of blade, the roach belly blade, was actually considered one of the, it was probably one of the favorites of mountain men and bushcrafters back when there was actually real mountain men and real bushcrafters. That design was one of their favorite blades. A lot of times they carried it as a neck knife. So it still gets the job done today. And like I said, it gets it done for very little money. Good cleanup. You don't have to worry about getting blood and everything soaked into your scales, grip, handle, whatever you want to call it in this case. It's just a very good knife. Now, this knife actually came with a nylon Cordura case, or a sheath rather. I think the new ones actually come with a Kydex sheath. So I don't know if I would like that as well, but I'm sure it would definitely hold the knife better because this sheath does not hold the knife. Luckily, I've not lost it. And in the past, I've actually had a piece of paracord tied on there. I don't have it right now, but I have in the past. But that is my long time go-to knife. Now I do have mores, I have all that, and I will use them from time to time. But like I said, this one has been with me in the field for many, many, many trips, and there's been many, many game animals processed with it, and it's just hard to beat. It is an excellent knife, just a general camp knife, skinning knife, meat processing knife, game processing knife, whatever you want to call it. Excellent knife. So I want to thank John for the tag on this video. It's been a long time since I've done a tag video, and I appreciate the opportunity. It's always fun to show off your knives. Like I said, I don't have any super expensive knives. I have some, that are better quality, but maybe none of them that are really super expensive. And I've got plenty of cheap knives. But my go-to has been a real team player, a real friend over the past several years. Like I said, I don't know how long I have had that cold steel roach belly. It's been several years. I honestly don't remember when I did get it. But it's been an excellent knife, and I'm sure it will continue to be an excellent knife. Now it's up to me to tag someone else for this video, and I've tried to think of who I want to tag, and I think I'm going to go ahead and go with my old standby. I think I'm going to tag Robert from BlueGrass Bushcraft. I guarantee you he's got some neat knives to show you, and I guarantee you he's got a real special go-to knife. Thanks for watching, folks. Thank you, John, for the tag, and we'll see you on down the trail.